once I went to diving and photography, it just all came together. I only started diving when I was 41, so it's a late calling, but my love for animals and nature and the urge to help others, because I've always been a caring person. I was always in school the one coming up for the people that got bullied. I was always trying to protect the weak, and it really came together. And getting better in photography made my voice grow louder to protect certain environments, habitats, sharks, sanctuaries. It helped me to be where I am now.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And if I'm not mistaken, you, at one point in your life, you were actually uncomfortable with water. Is that correct?
Yes. I love water. I've always loved water, and in some weekends, so Belgium is a very small country actually, and for everybody to get to the coast, it's an hour or an hour and a half drive. So my parents took us in during the holidays. We didn't travel. I only took a plane when I was 18. That was my first plane I took, was to India, but so it was a good baptism, or how do you call it? We went to the coastal side, and that's where the holidays were spent. And the sea always had something calming, but the North Sea in Belgium, it's a dark sea, and we have a lot of rain, so it's not the most appealing. But I did went in. Of course, my mom, she always was afraid of water. So it does go a bit like, don't go too far. Oh, you can't go swimming too far. You have to be able to stand. And then there was no visibility. So, but I did like it. I like to jump in the waves. I like to just swim in the waves. I had a good time. There was a little scare when I lost a little boat, and I saw what elements could do. So one time you see something, and then before you know it, it's gone, and you can't find it again. And that's how strong the elements were. So I was thinking I was afraid of water, but it's more, I now know it's more of being in awe or having a respect for the elements. So water has always been important in my life because I really loved it, but I thought I was afraid, which I know now I'm not. But my first dive here in Cayman, I came up and I just told the persons that were with me, I said, I don't like this. I'm so happy to be back at the surface because I really don't like this. I'm just going to keep to snorkeling. And then a friend of mine told me, just get your own gear and you will be more comfortable. And then I realized I didn't have the knowledge, not enough knowledge after an open water to deal with all these things that can go wrong. And probably it's because I'm a historian. I like to do research and I like to know where everything comes from, and I like to look for connections. And I realized, knowing more about diving, you also realize more of the dangers. So I was never like behaving like a tourist, jumping on a boat and just pretend, oh, we go for a happy, snappy dive. I realized going underwater, there's certain dangers, not only about equipment, but also about animal behavior. So I did my research and I kept studying. And then, I had like good dives for about 18 months, and then I got bent really badly. And it was not because I did something wrong. It was because I had some health issues I was not aware of. But it did give me a good scare, because you realize even on a very shallow dive, it was 45 feet, 15 meters for 45 minutes. And I was so bad that I couldn't use my brain properly. It was a type 2 bent, so DCI. Couldn't use my brain. I got a bit issues with my right arm. It got I couldn't use it very well, and still sometimes when I get tired and I do macro photography, I still have issues with my arm. So it's a scary thing that can happen to me. And I went back to diving, but then I realized I had health issues ever since that dive. And I just quit diving for a few years and I concentrated on extreme snorkeling. I was trying to find a way that I could make a difference for the things I cared about. So I choose subjects that usually don't get enough attention because it's harder to get to. And I reinvented myself, and I reinvented the place I could, um, that I could fill in this underwater ambassadorship or protection for the animals and habitats and environment. And that's what happened. And then 2 years ago, I went back to diving, and I became even a tech diver, a cave diver, full cave. So life is full of surprises. And now I'm 50. So in 10 years, a lot of things can happen. But I think it's important to follow your passion. And nobody can say that you can't do anything if you use your brain and you're very cautious about everything, and you follow also what you feel, how you react to things, and you get good follow-up. Because I have a medical every 6 months. I do stress tests regularly because I have a heart issue. So that's the health issue we're talking about. I'm just very aware of everything. And when something doesn't feel right, I don't do the dive. But it's not just about diving. It's also about if I'm on an expedition in the cold and it's a land expedition, I also am very aware about protection and doing like no crazy stuff. And not doing the crazy stuff, maybe I have to explain that a bit more. It's also, to me, very important for the animals, because if I do something that I don't think about and it brings an animal in danger and something would happen to the animal, I would only blame myself. And I think as somebody that wants to protect certain environments, you have to practice what you preach and be in control at all times.
That's one of the things that stuck with me from your presentation at the Explorers Club. You told a story about, I want to say it was a polar bear, I'm not certain, but you showed patience, and there was potential danger to you, but there was also potential disruption to the animal you were studying, and you backed off, and you basically quit for the day and went back the next day.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter. A picture is worth nothing if you do damage. And I would just not be able, and I see it happening all the time. I see it on a small scale happening where I live, Grand Cayman. It's a diver's paradise, but it's also one of those places where a lot of people from abroad just visit once a year, and then they go diving, and they also have a camera and they want to come home with beautiful images. But the pressure on time and the very few occasions they have to go in the water becomes so big to them, even if they don't do anything with the images. They just have this one goal. This trip, I want to see this animal or that critter, and I want a perfect picture because I look up to other photographers and I want to be on the same level. And then things go wrong because they, first for themselves, so they don't check their buoyancy. We have wall dives here, which is pretty, you have to be in control. And I see dive masters and dive guides endangering themselves because people have cameras in their hands and they only dive once a year. And then they also, I see the damage they do to the coral and sponges and it's just, it doesn't feel right to me.
Thanks for watching. For more information, visit our website at www.futurefrogmen.org.